Hey everyone, Ben here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. So I have chosen the book I'm going to do my first review on. I'm just working on the script for it right now, and no, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll just have to come back and see when that video gets published. But in the meantime, I thought I would record this video and kind of just talk a little bit about my journey to becoming an author, since that topic will probably be very prevalent to my channel going forward. So yeah, I thought I'd just talk about that for a little bit. So if that's something that doesn't sound interesting to you, totally get it, no hard feelings. Definitely a lot of videos out there to watch, so no worries. But if you're still here, I got my tea. What do you say we talk about some writing? And full disclosure, for this video, it's going to be like 98% unscripted. I'm just kind of, I don't know, I felt like rambling about writing today, so I started recording. That's pretty much what it's going to be, so just a heads up. Alright, so if you're still watching, I assume you want to hear about my journey as an author. And I think it's great. It's been quite a journey for me, and it's been exciting. It's been, I wouldn't say stressful, but it's been, sometimes it gets a little, it takes a lot to write a book. And I've written 6 of them, and it's, I wish I could say it gets easier. Certain parts of it do, you start getting into a rhythm and like developing your own style and whatnot. But anyway, I'm getting a little far ahead of myself there, so let's back up. So I wrote my first book back in 2019, which was only 5 years ago, but it seems like an eternity because we had COVID in between there. Yeah, but it was only 5 years ago, but it's just crazy to think about looking back. And I wasn't sure where to start in this video, honestly, what to talk about. I knew I just wanted to talk about writing, so maybe I'll cover like the questions I often get asked as an author, and we'll just go from there. Like I said, unscripted. This is going to be kind of a mess. I'll do my best to clean up a little bit of it in editing, but it's going to be a little bit messy. So one of the questions I definitely get most often is, where do your ideas come from as an author? And I think every author gets that question, and the answer is almost always the same. I mean, they come from everywhere. I mean, they're stereotypical, yeah, sometimes they come in our dreams, but I'm not like a very vivid dreamer. Like I rarely remember my dreams at all. So mine honestly just come from, more so like daydreaming, actually. Like if I'm just walking somewhere and an idea pops into my head and like, hey, what if I wrote that as a book? That'd be a cool idea. And I mean, really, that's all it is. Like, it's just, yeah, they just appear sometimes, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Even the best authors in the world out there will tell you that not every idea turns into this great like masterpiece of a novel. That's perfect in a perfect world, sure, but that's just not how it works. Even the great inspiration for me, Stephen King, he's definitely, I've seen in interviews where he's talked about, he's had ideas that he thought would be great, but they just turned out to be garbage. So it happens, but when those ideas come, it's important to take advantage of it and try and see if it works out, because hey, you never know, it could be the next best thing, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Another question I definitely get asked a lot is, what made you want to become an author? Like that's kind of a big step. And this one's super simple. I was reading Pet Sematary one day, and I just stopped and I was like, wonder if I could do this. Wonder if I could write a book. I didn't, at the time I didn't have any ideas, and I had no plan other than, can I write a book? I know when I was younger, I used to write Dragon Ball Z fan fiction. This was back in like, I don't know, early 2000, like 2002, maybe 2003. And I don't even know, was fan fiction a thing back then? Maybe it was, but I didn't know that that's what it was at the time. I really liked Dragon Ball Z, I still do, and I wanted to make up my own characters and incorporate it into the other existing storyline, so that's what I did. That was my first introduction really to writing. And so I still have them all. I don't know, maybe I'll share them someday, but they're not super long. I mean, maybe they're like, I don't know, at their longest, maybe 10 pages in a Word document, something like that. They're not very long, but I don't know, I guess maybe subconsciously it kind of put that into my brain, like writing was my thing. I don't know. But as far as reading, like I do read a lot now, but I feel like I kind of did the flip of what most people do. Most people, when they're younger, they read a lot, whether it's from like school required reading or just, you know, they enjoy reading. But then as they get older, they read a lot less, whether it be from, you know, adult responsibilities or just other things that they focus on, and that's fine. I just went the opposite. Like when I was a kid, I barely read anything. Quite frankly, even some of the school required stuff I don't think I read. Sorry, Mom. But exceptions, I think I read like some Goosebumps and, you know, smaller books like that. But no, otherwise I didn't really read much when I was a kid. But now I think I really started again, I don't know, 25, when I was 25, 26. I started reading more, and then now I'm 35 and I read all the time. I mean, I have like 4 or 5 books going at once. I love it. I can't get enough of it. So I don't know, maybe I'm just subconsciously making up for lost time of the books I didn't read when I was a kid. But whatever it is, I read a lot now, and I think everyone should. It's a good time. But I think I'm getting off topic again. This is what I get for not making a script for this video, but it's fine. It is what it is. We'll see. Maybe I'll trash all this in editing and it'll be a super short video. I don't know. So should we talk about the books a little bit? Maybe I've got them all here with me. And maybe if I think of more things about being an author, I'll put that in here. But so yeah, my first book, Out of Time, like I mentioned, it became part of the Time trilogy. This one, it means a lot, obviously, because it was my very first book, and it was. I don't want to say it was easy to write, but it was. I don't know. I think I just had like a lot of motivation, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I got into it and wrote it pretty quickly. For those of you who don't know, this book is set mostly in my hometown of Redfield, South Dakota. It features a few other places, but that's pretty much where it stays. And the main character, his name is Dan. He's 9, I think, 10. I can't remember how old my characters are. He's 10, and he is heavily based on me when I was that age. Not word for word, obviously, but he's heavily based on me. And he starts having dreams that become more and more real as the story progresses, and he starts to not be able to tell what's real and what's a dream. And eventually they get closer and closer to meshing together until he ultimately finds out what's going on. And yeah, it's a good, it's a psychological thriller. I had a lot of fun writing it. So yeah, Out of Time. So after that, like I said, I didn't write that with the intent of it being a trilogy, but once I finished that book, I was like, I still have more I could do with these characters. So that brought this one, book 2, Together in Time. This one pretty much picks up a few years after the first one, and I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but it just kind of continues with their story, and they go through a few more things. You know, typical sequel. Third one's the same. One last time. I had just a little bit more that I wanted to go on with these characters, and yeah, that one's. I get asked which one my favorite, and honestly, I think the third one is my favorite. You might think the first one would be, and that one's very like close to my heart, of course, because it's my very first book. But yeah, I know this one was just. I think I was getting into my rhythm of writing with this book, and so it just. I feel like this one reads a little better. Maybe I'm biased. I could be biased about all this because I mean they're my books, but yeah, I think the third one is my favorite of that trilogy. But your mileage may vary. Moving on to my fourth one, and for those of you who don't know, if you haven't read my books at all, you don't know what any of them are about. I usually have at least 1 or 2 recurring characters throughout these books, even the ones that aren't in the trilogy. So there's always a few that maybe pop in. They don't necessarily play a huge role, but I just like to bring them over. I like the continuity there. So that being said, my fourth book, Generosity, this one plays more into my background in computer science. It's about a computer virus that gets pushed out through a, ironically enough, antivirus company, and it wreaks havoc on the world. And yeah, it's really heavy tech-based, obviously. Fifth book, which was probably for a while my favorite that I've ever written, Eli. It's a thriller. It's also, there's a little bit of tech in there, but I would say it's a thriller. It's about this military sniper who is accused of killing his commanding officer, goes on trial for it, and he's sentenced to death, but gets some help from an old friend. I'll say that. And he is not just a normal human. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun writing this one. It's cool. I like writing about things like that with like snipers and like, I don't know, just gauging like the wind speed and like the distance of shooting and stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's a unique special interest of mine, I guess. I don't know, kind of random, but anyway, moving on to my final book that I recently published, and this has been my favorite of all time so far, and you'll know why in a second. Ship of Dreams. This is a historical fiction set on the Titanic, which in my last couple of videos I've mentioned. I absolutely love the story of the Titanic. It is tragic, very tragic, sad. A lot of people died, but it's so interesting. There's just so much in the backstory of the Titanic that a lot of people don't even realize. So this book was heavily inspired by Stephen King's 11/22/63. That's just with the JFK assassination. So very much inspired by this. It's about a high school history teacher who gets the chance to go back in time and try to save the Titanic from sinking. But of course, that has its own set of problems. So yeah, it's a good adventure. It's written in first person from the history teacher's perspective. So it's almost kind of like I wrote about myself, because the teacher also has a fascination with the Titanic. So it was fun to write. But yeah, those are the 6 books I've published. I have a couple more projects in the works right now. They're kind of early on, so I'm not really going to say too much about them yet. But yeah, that's really my journey in a nutshell. I didn't actually talk too much about becoming an author, but you know, a little bit. And I'm sure in the future I'll make other videos about different things as an author, so more to come on that. But yeah, if you're still here and you've made it through this rambling, I really appreciate it. This has just been kind of fun to talk to the camera about, you know, writing and whatever. I enjoy it, and sometimes people I don't know, maybe they don't mind listening, but I feel bad if I just sit and ramble. If I would have just had this whole conversation to someone I was having lunch with, I don't know, they might not have minded it, maybe they would have enjoyed it, but I just personally would have felt like it was a bother. So, but that's just me. Anyway, yeah, if you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. I think that about does it for this video. Please leave a comment, like, you know, it helps the channel, as everyone says on YouTube. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.